Since age verification has become such a popular topic, a lot of people are saying, can't the app stores do age verification? Like, if we're going to do age verification, why can't the app stores do the age verification? You see these proposals a lot, right? Mark Zuckerberg, where is it? Mark Zuckerberg said recently that, we should do age verification at the app store. We should do identity verification. Um, you know, this is great. And he said basically, Instagram. Here, let me just make this bigger. Zuckerberg is not proposing that Instagram verify the ages of Instagram users. He is proposing that Apple and Google verify the identity of every smartphone user for every app at the operating system level. Now, you guys, this is crazy. This is actually what Meta is lobbying for, again, because Meta is lobbying for these laws, right? So this is what Zuckerberg is proposing. He's like, why should we have to shoulder the costs of identity verification? Why don't we make everybody do it? And then, by the way, we're going to profit off of it and drive everyone out of business. Anyway, so this is really bad. We don't want that. It would end anonymous internet access for everyone, anywhere, anything that you do on your phone. And I think a lot of people think that their phone is not private because maybe they have an Apple ID account where they had to give their info and their credit card. That doesn't mean that all the apps that you use on your phone have access to all that data. So you might sign up with Apple, to Apple with a certain amount of data, but that data is not shared across every single app in your device. Mark Zuckerberg does want a lot more data to be shared, and that's problematic. But anyway, this whole idea of app store, level age verification is becoming a thing. And I'm seeing a lot of people say that this is a smart way to do it. I was getting into a fight with someone on Twitter, actually, just who said this exactly. They said this is the smart way to do it. I'll try to find it. Let's see. Oh, I don't know where it is. Anyway, whatever. Some other person online was saying that it was the smart way to do it. I was responding that it is not. But let's explain why, because I think a lot of people don't get it, and they're already so comfortable with the amount of data that they share with their phone providers or something, that they kind of think that okay, so why not age verify at the operating system? Here's one response. So again, if you do operating system verification, we're not just talking about Apple and Google. We're talking about Linux, Windows, etc. And this is a bill out of Colorado that these guys are talking about. And we're not going to watch the whole 13 minutes, but we'll just watch part of it.
Colorado Democrats have introduced a bill which would require age verification at the operating system level for all operating systems, which would include Linux, Mac OS, Windows, FreeBSD, Haiku, FreeDOS, everything. If it's an operating system, it would require it. I've read through this bill known as the Age Attestation on Computing Devices Bill, or SB 26-051, and it is absolutely preposterous. It would apply to all operating systems, open source or proprietary. So yeah, Linux is involved.
I think that's so crazy that it even applies to open source software.
Require the operating system to set a user's age upon account creation and store that age within the system, along with some mechanism for verifying that, which is undefined. Require the OS to provide an API, right, a programmer's interface for application developers to request an age or an age bracket for the user, and institutes a up to $7,500 fine per violation for intentional violation of the bill, which would include refusing to implement the age verification API. So, for example, if Ubuntu Linux gets downloaded 100,000 times, or let's say 1,000,000 times, and it knowingly intentionally violates this bill, that would be 1,000,000 times 7,500. You do the math and determine how quickly Ubuntu's creator Canonical goes out of business. Now, this version of the bill does not indicate specifically how the age of the user would be verified outside of a good faith declaration of age, like saying, yeah, I'm 21. And then leaving it at that. The language is currently very vague inside the bill and is really open to wide interpretation. If the bill left it at good faith declaration and that's where it stopped, that would be one thing. But it opened it up to wide interpretation, which means that people could be forced to do some pretty gnarly age and identity verification within the operating system level.
And again, if you don't do all of that stuff and you don't take it to the max, you're going to get fined. That's what's so dangerous. I don't want to watch this guy's whole video, but I'll just skip ahead and see what he's talking about.
It's utterly asinine that this is taking place. Now, this is yet to pass, right? It hasn't yet gone up for a vote, but we're seeing these sorts of bills cropping up all over the place. I mean, age verification and identity verification bills are popping up in multiple states for using a variety of different mechanisms. This one in particular is concerning because it's not many age verification laws are currently being focused on an individual service. Like, for example, if a website wants or online service wants to provide something that's adult only, then they have to provide some sort of age verification. Okay, there's concerns with that, right? We can raise some sort of concern around that. Fine, but at the very least, it's an isolated thing. Okay, I don't want to have my identity scanned by this one shady website. Well, I guess I won't go to that shady website anymore. It's at least isolated. This is forcing operating system developers to implement features and keep them in the OS. That is not cool. That is beyond not cool. That is saying that every computer user will then have to be subjected to this. And what's more, every developer,
That's what's so burdensome. The developer aspect of it. Like, do you think people are going to want to develop like indie apps and develop indie software when they have to do invasive and expensive identity verification checks or they get massive fines? Sorry, my chair is so uncomfortable. I keep moving around. No, that's crazy. It's going to be terrible. This is a terrible idea.
Every corporation or project or foundation that develops an operating system now has to comply with this, and I just don't love that. Now, I don't mind if.
And then he goes on and on to explain some sort of like neutral things. He's very against age verification too. This guy is cool. The Lunda Journal. Anyway, he's cool on age verification. I shouldn't just endorse people when I don't know their other views because, again, there's a lot of like libertarians. But I think actually, speaking of libertarians, R Street, which is a libertarian group, actually did the best. I know Shoshana Weissman. I've sort of known her online for a long time. She's actually amazing. She doesn't work here anymore. But they did the best, I think, sort of like takedown on why we don't want app stores, or in this case, in the other case, they're talking about OS level, like even beyond app stores. But which is even more insane. Like it's crazy. But I think that this is a good sort of like explainer on why this thinking is so problematic. Because again, you keep seeing these people like, here's literally the CEO and founder of Epic Games. Apple is the only company with a great proposal here. Let parents who buy the devices set up accounts and decide what they're allowed to do, then pass those decisions to app stores through parental. Oh no, wait, he's on the right side. Why did I think he was on the wrong? I think I read this tweet wrong. That's correct. He is on the right side. Parental controls. Sure. Great. We support it. But anyway, there's all these other people online that are like claiming that this is a good idea. So let's talk about why. And this was written back in January, but it still applies. I think it was actually even written before that, but maybe it wasn't. There was a big age verification series that R Street did years ago that I still reference. But let's just read through this. Lawmakers show no sign of slowing down with laws to limit minors' use of social media. State and federal legislation mandating that sites verify users' age and adjust their social media experiences accordingly are still popular, despite the fact that they've repeatedly failed court challenges. As of late, policymakers have turned to a different model, where parents have to consent to App Store downloads made by their children. But this new approach is just as doomed as others. Oh, maybe that is what Tim Sweeney was talking about. Maybe that's why he got on my radar. Because of the inescapable functional and constitutional issues. Many advocacy groups that have supported other attempts to block youth access to social media have grabbed hold of the App Store mandate as an easier, more technologically feasible approach than prior proposals like mandating content filtering at the mobile device level. In practice, however, these proposals run into all the basic concerns with constitutionality, efficacy, and cybersecurity that R Street and others have warned are inherent in any attempt to age gate access to general purpose digital services. The idea of using the App Store as a checkpoint for restricting youth access to harmful content caught steam after guys, they're always at the scene of the crime. They're always on the wrong side. I'm telling you, if you see Meta, they're always on the wrong side of whatever tech policy. If you're like, hey, I'm a leftist and like I don't really know what tech policies I should support, just support the opposite of whatever Meta is doing. Just support the exact opposite of whatever Meta wants. Anyway, so it caught steam after Meta endorsed it. An early attempt to enact the proposal into law was blocked in Louisiana last year. A similar amendment at the federal level was introduced by Rep. John James, but did not advance. Just goes on. Two federal bills share a title, the App Store Accountability Act, but use different mechanisms to require age verification, although the net result would be the same. Presumably, these last-minute federal bills anticipate more serious effort in the coming year, and similar legislation is expected to pop up in a number of states by 2025. So yeah, let's move on and explain why this is a bad idea. Again, we shouldn't have to think that hard because if Meta's at the scene, we know that it's bad. But regardless, App Store versus social media level age verification doesn't change anything. The primary unavoidable problem with these proposals is that they would require the app stores to use some method to verify the age of every person in the United States who wishes to use any of the large app stores on their mobile devices to obtain verifiable parental consent when a minor wishes to access an app or in-app purchases. Okay, that sounds crazy and annoying. South Carolina's law, for instance, forces age verification on every single person in the state as soon as the law takes effect. Beginning January 2026, using commercially available methods, App Store providers shall determine the age category for every individual located in the state that purchases or uses apps from the App Store and verify that user's age. This would result in the same problem that any other age verification and parental consent scheme with no better chance of being found constitutional. Specifically, full age verification requires documentation like government IDs, social security numbers, or credit card information. And even if these laws are tailored or interpreted to merely allow age estimation, the most widely available commercial technologies to accomplish this would still force every app store to submit an intrusive and, for younger adults, error-prone biometric scan. In either case, obtaining parental consent requires some form of documentation proving that the permission giver is both an adult and a legal parent or guardian of the specific teenager or child, which is so crazy. I want you guys to think about that. Right? Think about this. Read that. Does that sound sustainable? Actually, I think this is what Tim Sweeney, I think this is why people were mad at Tim Sweeney. I think this is actually what he's backing. And that's why people are mad about it. So I take back what I said about Tim Sweeney. There is no way around this, meaning the bills require not just age verification, but identity verification. And they require identity verification, again, because you have to know who the adult is and who the child is to know that they're related. There is no way around this, meaning the bills require, This poses a host of problems. For example, not all children and parents share the same last name. Some minors have non traditional families and multiple legal guardians, and some children might simply obtain their parents' information and impersonate them. And whatever personal information parents have provided about themselves or their children becomes vulnerable to hackers, as proven by recent leaks of these very age and identity verification systems. Because other easily accessible tools already exist for parents to restrict their children's access to apps and the app stores, it's very unlikely that the courts would agree. This is just like some of this court stuff. I don't know. I actually am a lot more skeptical than they are about how much this is making its way through the courts, because it's already making its way through the courts. So there have never been more options for parents to lock down and monitor what their children access online. Virtually all modern cell phones and devices have easy to use parental controls at the device, app store, and browser levels. There are websites dedicated to walking parents through how to use there are websites dedicated to walking parents through their use. There is also a thriving marketplace of third-party software that can be downloaded to provide an even more granular and comprehensive restrictions on what online services children can access on their devices and when. This does not mean the task is easy for parents, but they have an abundance of options that are more effective than this legislation would be. And that's true. If you want to literally download basically spyware on your child's phone, you can download Life 360 or all these other apps, right? There are just an insane amount of surveillance tools available to parents to monitor their children. So many. So many. Even if these bills could work, age gating at the App Store level is a poor fit. Another oddity of specifying the App Store as a means to protect children from harm is the internet's worst material cannot even be accessed through the App Store. For example, one of the primary justifications for the App Store Accountability Act is to protect minors from explicit content. Again, those apps are not allowed in the App Store. Hello. There is no you know what type of app in the App Store, right? OF does not even have an app. So it just makes no sense. Sometimes app updates attempt to evade these prohibitions, or apps find other ways around the rules initially, but the app stores find them and remove them. This means that the most concerning app for children is whichever web browser they prefer, where they can already directly access adult content. Of note, app ratings are also designed to help parents and caregivers. The social media apps that allow adult content such as Reddit and X are rated M for mature, whereas other social media apps like Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat, I don't know why they camel case Snapchat here, are rated T for teen, meaning caregivers can block children's access with parental controls. Once again, age gating access to general purpose platforms is unconstitutional. Now, here they give a whole case for why they believe it to be unconstitutional. They are a lobbying group, so that's something that they're very concerned with. I don't even want to get into this because I think ultimately the courts will decide if it's constitutional or not. But so far, it does seem to be a lot of these laws are holding, not all of them, but some of them. So we'll see. Not all the App Store laws. I just mean a lot of these age verification laws appear to be holding broadly. We'll see if they consider some of these unconstitutional. Anyway, this has no effect on laptops. A final and important note is that some of these proposals don't have much effect on content on laptop computers. Now, again, this is talking about App Store. If they do it at the operating system level, then it will, right? They will. Conclusion: the benefits parents stand to gain from this type of legislation are severely limited and account for features that are already abound. If these requirements were to be put into law and force parental consent, they would create a massive cybersecurity and privacy problems, including heightened opportunity for identity theft. This would also violate the First Amendment many times over. Instead of continually searching for new and creative ways to force age gating mandates onto online services, legislators should focus on strategies to help parents understand the power they already have to manage their children's access to online content. And I think that's just so true. It's so true. Such a great piece. But, of course, these idiot politicians don't want to do any of this. And so they are, they're demanding it. They're demanding it. And they're demanding it specifically at the App Store level. Apple just expanded age text to Australia, Brazil, Singapore, and the United States. Governments are forcing Apple to block app downloads until users verify their age. Apple is complying, and even 2 American states are demanding it. So this is something that Apple is already engaging in, which I think is really lame of Apple. I think these tech companies will never, ever, ever defend our free speech. They do not rely on free speech to do their jobs and profit. They just don't. So anyway, this just shows how all of this can go wrong. This person said, from the screenshots I've seen, UK Apple users have to do age verification, aka I don't want to use the age verification words anymore, identity verification to download any app on the App Store. Actual insanity. It's crazy. So you have to give all of this information just to download an app. And of course, this is already having very stupid consequences, right? People are being asked to download age verification and identify stuff. In California and Colorado, you cannot download a calculator app without doing identity verification. You have to verify your identity to use a calculator app. Does that sound like it's protecting anyone? Or, in the UK, this guy had to use a VPN to look at Imager, aka look at a site with memes. It's like the most basic website, right? Like it's just like a basic meme website. He had to download a VPN just to do it because of all the restrictions. And England is trying to ban VPNs, of course, as well. So all of this is crazy. And, you might have seen in that previous post that this is happening in California. 2 of these states are demanding it. Well, Gavin Newsom's one of them. Gavin Newsom has become obsessed with identity verification, and he's bought into this whole moral panic. And he basically claims that because he saw his kids on the phone too much, literally, this is his belief, that's why they need to be banned. It's crazy. He his kid was on the cell phone too much. Not his child that watches Ben Shapiro videos, who he talked about on his podcast. He said his child Charlie Kirk videos. His child loves Charlie Kirk videos. But speaking of the weird way that they're using women, I'm just going to find the actual post. So he says his daughter, so again, Gavin Newsom's son, so this is some weird SEO website, but Gavin Newsom's son was a huge fan of Charlie Kirk. Gavin Newsom's son was watching Charlie Kirk slop and was a huge fan of Charlie Kirk and was just, I guess, bombarding his brain all day long with right-wing propaganda. That's his son. Now, Gavin Newsom's daughter is apparently, oh my God, the fucking ads, I'm sorry. Gavin Newsom's daughter is apparently on her phone too much. And so that is why he thinks that we need to now ban everyone from the iOS, from an iOS level, from an operating systems level, because his daughter was too on her phone on her birthday. That's what he said. By the way, that poor daughter growing up with Gavin Newsom as your father. But this is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. He said his daughter was on the phone too much. I had a birthday party just a few weeks ago with a lot of my daughter's friends, and I literally stopped everybody because there were 7 of them together, all of them on their cell phone at a birthday party, not one talking to each other. Maybe you had a lame party.
Is anybody here?
We have a generation that's never been more anxious, less free, and more stressed.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
I see the chat on the website. Hi, everyone.
Age gate. the internet. They're going to be less free
So
and they're going to
why
be
am I
more stressed
signed
and more
in
anxious. And by the way, just
on
because
this
you had a lame
account?
party where the dad is around.
Hi guys, sorry.
Oh, this
I
guy's a
can't figure
Zionist,
out how to
by the
get the
way.
chat to show.
You had a lame party and your daughters didn't want you to be around. Is this him with that Zionist political candidate?
Settings.
Or no, this is just him on the bus. I thought that this was this like other candidate. Anyway, whatever. He looks like him. He has the same glasses.
Sorry,
then here
guys.
fears of social
I know
addiction,
it is ADHD
social media addiction
time.
playing
Can
on
you
the
guys
court.
even hear me? I'm so sorry. I can't
It's
figure
just
out how
so
to get the
scary.
chat to
I
show.
just think it's so
And I
scary
really,
that this is all happening
oh,
together.
pop
That
out
it's
chat.
primarily happening thanks to
Okay,
liberals.
I guess I'll just have to. But then it's going to be on
who's
a
talking over Taylor?
delay. That's going to be really
Wait,
annoying.
Oh, weird. I didn't hear that. Oh, did I hit you guys? I think it was wait, that's so weird. I don't think it was a video. I think it was the New York
YouTube live control panel.
Oh, it's my video. Oh my God, that's so weird. I just heard it. It was my video.
Select stream.
Why does my... Wait, that was so scary. I think it was something with OBS. Can you guys hear me now? So weird. Wait, how much did you miss? Because I stopped looking at the chat. How much did you miss? Oh my God. I don't know how much you missed of me talking about Gavin Newsom. It's still going? Wait, sorry. You hear both of me or do you hear just me? You guys are giving two mixed information. Okay, so it was for less than a minute. Okay, or a minute. Okay, that was really weird. I don't know. It's probably some weird glitch. Don't worry about it. Sorry about that. Anyway, Gavin Newsom had a terrible birthday party for his daughter where she was on her phone, and now he wants to remove internet access for everyone, and it's going to be terrible. So that was really what I was saying. Gosh, I really do have to pay attention to the chat. It pops in and out. So weird. So weird. Okay, so yeah, it's really bad. What's happening is really bad. What Gavin Newsom is doing is really bad. And I think it's really disturbing that his child is watching Charlie Kirk videos all day, and that's somehow not a problem. But, you know, he wants to build this mass online surveillance hellscape. And at the same time, you know, they're trying to it's just this idea of like having to age verify yourself before you use a calculator. Or for instance, I talked about this last week, but you might have to require ID to download a weather app. Like it's so ridiculous. Okay. Somebody said in and out like a burger joint. So is it back in? If you don't hear me speaking over myself, then don't say that. If you do hear me speaking over myself, then let me know. Anyway, just this is what I'm talking about. Just basically that like there are operating systems, as somebody said, that have to run on chips monitoring CPUs on motherboards. There's operating systems for car engines. There's operating systems for all different types of things. To say that every single operating system has to identity verify users before it can be enacted, and developers, and putting that on developers is so crazy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And this is what, you know, our world is going to move towards, because Gavin Newsom doesn't, care about care about people's rights because his daughter had a bad birthday party.